Hello Jill, welcome to Z Connect.
Thank you.
So Jill, you've had an illustrious career as a television producer, working on shows like Foyle's War, Safe House, Vexed, New Blood. So tell me, how has your journey been as a television producer and what initially sparked your interest in production?
Well, I started in the world of advertising and marketing, which is very useful to this industry because it's a highly competitive world like the television industry is, and it makes you see things in a different way, because I always imagine every day when we're making something, what are the audience going to think about this? How are they going to find us? How are we going to position the show that we make? How are we going to market it? So these skill sets have been hugely useful to me. I'm also married to a very successful novelist and screenwriter, Anthony Horowitz, and we have, in the later part of our careers, joined together and worked on such successful shows such as Foyle's War, and we're currently working on a very successful show called Magpie Murders, which is an adaptation of his own novel.
You've been involved in creating a diverse range of TV shows across different genres. So tell me, what inspires you, what attracts you to a particular subject or a project, and how do you decide which idea you want to pursue?
It's a very, very competitive world right now. There's no doubt that big, what we call IP, it helps because it gives financiers a security that they've therefore got a book to sit behind. They therefore have an audience that's already ready-made for that book. So for example, with Anthony Horowitz, we successfully adapted his books, Alex Rider, 13 books. And at the moment, we're also doing a reboot of the very successful Ian Rankin novels, Rebus. But these books have brilliant central characters, wonderful narratives. They have great depth to them, emotional depth. These are the things we're looking for in books. So I'm always looking for what is the kind of USP of that idea, wherever it comes from.
Great. So collaboration is crucial in the creative industry, right? So tell me, how do you approach working with writers, directors, and other creative professionals to bring a particular project to life?
Well, I've worked with a lot of different writers. Obviously, the main collaboration is now with Anthony Horowitz. And his mind is very, very clever. He has many, many ideas. He's a very, very good person who can structure something. And so we work very well together. We debate a lot of things. We don't always agree. Obviously, we're coming from different perspectives on things. And I think when I work with a lot of big talent, I understand that their job is very difficult to do, but equally they have to understand that when we take over their book or their screenplay, that they're going to have to be collaborative with us as well, because we have a lot of big challenges, like a lack of budget, for example, in the UK, or we have financiers that have different needs. We've recently had that with a big drama we've made of Jane Casey novel, The Killing Kind, where the financiers said, we'd like to do a second season of this. Can you give us a different, more ambiguous ending? So we talked to her about what ideas we had, and we collectively agreed. It's a very collaborative industry, and we like working with writers who are also very flexible.
So television has undergone significant changes over the past few years, right? Especially with streaming platforms coming about, changing viewer preferences. So tell me, how do you adapt to these evolving trends?
Well, I think it's a really interesting time right now because after the pandemic, there were a lot of people who bought a lot of streaming services, 5 or 6 maybe in a family, and now with the cost of living and less time to view things and the rise of games to distract them as well, I think people are losing a lot of subscriptions of streamers is going down.
Absolutely.
And I think now we're going to see we've already started to see it, that places like Viaplay, a Scandinavian version of Netflix, have closed their scripted division. Paramount Global announced the other day that they are going to be culling a lot of shows and people. Amazon have just laid off over 1,000 staff. There are big changes and turmoil that is going to happen amongst the streaming services now. And I think those with deep pockets, Netflix, Amazon, Apple and Disney will be the survivors. And then I think the smaller platforms might begin to fold or have to change in some way as subscriptions fall away. So I think there's going to be a complete change in the marketplace. I think if you're on a streamer, for us, like Alex Rider, which is on Amazon and Freevee, we need to look at how we market our shows, because these platforms, when people open the page, how do we stay on the front page, if you like, so that if people love our show, we're still up there. And that's about the performance of the show and how it's positioned. And it goes back to the need for ideas to be so distinctive these days to survive on very, very crowded streaming services.
Yeah, absolutely. You closely work with film and documentary festivals, right? What motivates you to do so?
Well, I love documentaries. I don't make them, but I've always loved them. And I think right now, some of the best films around, if you look at the BAFTA and Oscar nominations this year, are in the field of documentaries. And the big player that has supported that is Netflix. They're the biggest investor now in that field. I think the storytelling has got better in the documentary world. I think the editing has got better. I think the quality of work has gone up. It's such an exciting area right now. And also as a TV producer, we also look at documentaries to think, can we make the drama version of that? And the really good example in the UK right now, the most successful television show on the screen right now is called Bates versus the Post Office. And there were 2 documentaries that were made before that show. That drama came out of a documentary and is actually co-produced with a documentary company called Gem Pictures. And it's the true story of the injustice brought to the postmistresses and postmasters, who many went to jail. And almost, I think 15 million people in the UK have watched that show. And that came out of a very good documentary being made about that story of injustice.
Okay, final question for you. What advice would you give to people who are out there who want to follow in your footsteps or be in a creative field like you, become a professional like yourself, and want to make a name for themselves? What should they do? What should they not do?
Well, it depends on what role they have. I mean, I think if they want to be a producer, I came up the advertising route. There's no single route to come through. People go through script development. That's another route. They go through line producing. So I think you have to work your way up in one of those disciplines. For me, the best producers are those that can marry together finance and creative, not one or the other, both. They're so important if you're a producer. I think if you're a writer, I think you must just write in what you believe in, not think that, oh, if something's successful there, I'll copy that and therefore it might get made, because the creative market is moving all the time. And I just said in what we just talked about is no one ever knows what the next big idea is. And if you, for example, I once met the South Korean writer of Squid Games. There was a script that got turned down by everybody. It was a film script. It took him, I think, 15 years to get that off the ground. In the end, it was picked up as a television script by Netflix when they finally arrived, and the rest is history.
Absolutely.
So, but the idea behind Squid Game is so distinctive. And it's written with such passion, with fantastic characters, very universal idea, even though it's set in South Korea, that you've just got to, as a writer, believe in your own work. That would be the best advice.
Superb. It was wonderful talking to you, Jill. Thank you so much for being on the show, and thank you for talking to us.
Thank you.